Have you ever wondered what secrets antique jewels passed down through generations might hold? Today, we shall lift the veil on the destiny of one of the 20th century's most enchanting and enigmatic adornments, the Westminster Blue Kokoshnik, a tiara whose story is replete with brilliance, drama, and unforeseen turns. Among the myriad glittering diadems and tiaras that have graced the heads of royalty and aristocrats, some have forever entered the annals of jewelry artistry. Their beauty captivates, and the stories connected with them stir the imagination. What renders them so exceptional? Perhaps it is the unique confluence of the jeweler's craftsmanship, the rarity of the gemstones, and assuredly the aura of their illustrious owners. Our narrative today is dedicated to precisely such a treasure, the celestial blue Chaumet tiara, known as the Duchess of Westminster's Blue Kokoshnik. This adornment, much like a phoenix, has at times vanished from the family treasury, only to make a triumphant return, each time heralding a new chapter in its astonishing saga. Prepare to immerse yourselves in a world of opulence, passion, and family legends, where every stone safeguards its own secret. At the dawn of the 20th century, an era when luxury and refinement reached their zenith, the venerable Parisian jewelry house of Chaumet, with a history spanning over 2 centuries, was at the pinnacle of its renown. Established back in 1780 by Marie-Étienne Nittot, court jeweler to Napoleon Bonaparte and Empress Josephine, Chaumet earned a reputation as a creator of truly regal adornments. The house's artisans were celebrated not only for the impeccable quality of their work, but also for their ability to capture the zeitgeist, embodying the most audacious and exquisite design concepts in precious metals and gemstones. It was within these lauded workshops, around 1911, that the tiara destined to become a legend was born, the Duchess of Westminster's Blue Enamel Kokoshnik. The very name Kokoshnik alludes to the traditional Russian women's headdress, which, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, was experiencing a true renaissance in popularity, not only in Russia, but throughout Europe. The vogue for the Russian style, fueled by Diaghilev's ballets and a fascination with the exotic culture of the Russian Empire, swept through European capitals. Jewelers such as Cartier and Chaumet enthusiastically embraced this trend, crafting tiaras in the Kokoshnik form, which perfectly accentuated the grandeur and stature of their wearers. The Westminster tiara is a veritable hymn to the Russian style, executed with French finesse. Its framework is fashioned from gold and platinum, characteristic of jewelry from that era. Platinum allowed for the creation of light, almost ethereal settings, perfectly suited for intricate diamond lacework. But the tiara's crowning glory was its exquisite celestial blue enamel. The enameling technique, particularly one as complex as plique-à-jour, if indeed it was employed here to create a stained glass effect or high-quality hot enamel, demanded supreme artistry. The azure enamel background evokes a sense of depth and purity, reminiscent of a clear spring sky or the transparent ice of northern rivers. Across this enameled field, like a scattering of morning dew on forget-me-not petals, are dispersed 280 diamonds. They form a delicate, refined floral composition. The diamonds are most likely of an antique cut, possibly rose cut or old European cut, which lend the stones a distinctive soft shimmer, different from the cool brilliance of modern cuts. Each stone is meticulously matched for size and clarity and set by hand, a testament to the painstaking labor and attention to detail characteristic of Chaumet's artisans. The tiara's design, with its fluid curves and symmetrical pattern, embodies the elegance and harmony distinctive of the Belle Époque style. This is not merely an adornment, but a work of high jewelry art, worthy of a place in the world's finest museum exhibitions. But who was the first owner of this azure marvel, and what history preceded its debut into society? And how did a French creation with a Russian heart find its way into one of Britain's most noble families? Scarcely had it come into existence when the Chaumet Kokoshnik tiara captured widespread attention. Its magnificence instantly caught the eye of one of the wealthiest and most eccentric aristocrats of his time. Hugh Richard Arthur Grosvenor, the second Duke of Westminster, known in society by the nickname Bendor. The Duke, whose fortune was truly colossal, inherited from ancestors who owned vast tracts of land in London, including the prestigious districts of Mayfair and Belgravia, was renowned for his love of luxury, beautiful women, and audacious escapades. He was not accustomed to denying himself pleasures and readily spent fortunes on artworks, yachts, automobiles, and naturally, jewelry. As soon as the tiara was unveiled, perhaps at a special Chaumet presentation or at an auction in 1911, the Duke of Westminster, without hesitation, paid a significant sum for it. While the exact sum remains a matter of speculation, it can be confidently stated that it was quite substantial, befitting such a unique creation. Several theories exist regarding the occasion for such a lavish acquisition. One of the most prevalent suggests that the magnificent adornment was intended for his first wife, Constance Edwina Cornwallis West, known as Sheila, to commemorate their 10th wedding anniversary, which took place in 1901. Sheila was a celebrated beauty of her time, and such a gift would undoubtedly have been in keeping with her status and the Duke's taste. However, there is another, no less plausible version that does not preclude, but perhaps complements, the first. 1911 was marked by a momentous event in the life of the British Empire, the coronation of King George V and Queen Mary of Teck, held on June 22nd. At such a ceremony, the presence of the highest aristocracy was de rigueur, and every noble lady endeavoured to appear in the full splendour of her family jewels. For the Duchess of Westminster, appearing in a new, specially acquired tiara from the famed Parisian house would have been not only a display of her husband's wealth and influence, but also a tribute to the new royal couple. It is quite probable that the Duke, known for his foresight in matters of prestige, decided to kill two birds with one stone, to give his wife a lavish gift and to ensure she had a fitting adornment for one of the decade's most significant events. Envision the moment. Westminster Abbey, filled with light and the sounds of the organ. Amidst the glitter of uniforms and brocade gowns, amidst the radiance of hundreds of diamonds, the Duchess of Westminster appears. Upon her head is the new Chaumet Kokoshnik, its celestial blue enamel and shimmering diamonds drawing all eyes, symbolizing not only the wealth of the Grosvenor family, but also a refined taste capable of appreciating a true work of art. The tiara undoubtedly became one of the most talked-about jewels at that coronation. Alas, even such a dazzling and costly gift could not strengthen the marital bonds. The marriage of Hugh Grosvenor and Sheila Cornwallis West, despite the birth of 3 children, was far from idyllic. The Duke was known for his numerous affairs, and his family life was tumultuous. Just a few years after the coronation, in 1919, the couple divorced. But what became of the magnificent tiara, a symbol of their former union and splendor? Did the Duke leave it to his former wife, or did it return to his own already extensive jewelry collection? And what trials lay ahead for this azure marvel? Following his divorce from Sheila Cornwallis West, the Duke of Westminster, as one would expect from a collector and connoisseur, kept the Blue Kokoshnik in his personal treasury. He went on to have 3 more marriages, but the tiara, it seems, was no longer used to adorn his subsequent wives. It became one of many precious artifacts, a testament to his past generosity and love for the beautiful. Years passed, eras changed, and the Chaumet tiara remained in the Grosvenor vaults, awaiting its moment. That moment arrived after the death of the second Duke of Westminster in 1953. Hugh Grosvenor left behind a colossal fortune, but British law at the time imposed enormous inheritance taxes, known as death duties. For the Grosvenor family, the tax bill was astronomical. By modern standards, it could have amounted to hundreds of millions of pounds sterling. The heirs, including his son, Robert George Grosvenor, who became the 5th Duke, the 3rd and 4th Dukes were Hugh's cousins who died childless, simply lacked sufficient liquid assets to cover this gigantic sum. The family faced a difficult choice: To preserve the bulk of the estate, including their landholdings, they had to part with many family heirlooms, artworks, and pieces of jewelry. Among the treasures sold was the Westminster Blue Kokoshnik. The tiara was put up for auction, likely at one of the major auction houses such as Sotheby's or Christie's, and departed from the Grosvenor family treasury, disappearing into the world of private collections. For many decades, the trail of this magnificent adornment was lost to the public. It seemed the story of the Blue Kokoshnik within the Westminster family had come to an end. But fate, as is well known, enjoys delivering surprises. Years passed, generations changed. The title of Duke of Westminster passed to Gerald Cavendish Grosvenor, who became the 6th Duke in 1979 following the death of his father, Robert. Gerald was an extraordinary individual. He never aspired to wealth and titles, dreaming instead of a simple life as a farmer. However, fate decreed otherwise. At 15 years of age, after the unexpected death of his uncle, William Grosvenor, the 3rd Duke, who left no direct male heirs, he had only daughters who, under British law at the time, could not inherit the title and the main estate. His father Robert became the heir. And after his father's death, Gerald himself, at the age of 27, inherited the vast fortune and ducal title. This burden of wealth and responsibility thrust upon the young man could have broken anyone. But Gerald Grosvenor proved to be a man of strong character and profound integrity. He dedicated his life to managing the family capital, augmenting it, and engaging in extensive philanthropic activities. In doing so, he managed to preserve core human values: loyalty to his family, freedom from prejudice, sound judgment, and astonishing modesty, despite his status as one of Great Britain's wealthiest men. It was Gerald, the 6th Duke of Westminster, understanding the immense significance of family heirlooms and the memory of the past, who set himself the goal of returning some of the lost treasures to the family collection. He spent many years and undoubtedly considerable funds searching for and repurchasing iconic items that had once belonged to his ancestors. Among these relics that he managed to locate and recover was that very legendary Blue Kokoshnik by Westminster. This occurred in more recent times, presumably in the early 2000s. The exact circumstances of the tiara's return, whether it was a purchase at auction or a private transaction, remain unknown, as the Grosvenor family prefers not to publicize such details. Thus, after nearly half a century, the azure marvel was once again within the fold of the family to whom it had once belonged. Gerald Grosvenor's efforts were crowned with success. It seemed justice had prevailed, and the tiara had found its home. Its celestial blue enamel and diamond brilliance were once again set to illuminate society events, but this time on the new Duchess of Westminster, Gerald's wife, Natalia Phillips. Natalia, incidentally, had a noteworthy lineage. She is a direct descendant of the great Russian poet Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, and has familial ties to the House of Romanov, which made her appearance in the Kokoshnik tiara particularly symbolic. But was this return final? Or did fate have its own, even more unexpected plans for this magnificent adornment? The return of the Blue Kokoshnik to the Grosvenor family was a true triumph for Gerald, the 6th Duke. It was not merely the acquisition of an expensive item, but the restoration of a piece of family history, a symbolic gesture underscoring the continuity of generations and respect for ancestral heritage. One can imagine the pride and reverence with which Duchess Natalia Westminster first wore this legendary adornment. Her connection to Russian culture through her ancestors, Pushkin and the Romanovs, lent a particular depth to this moment. The Kokoshnik, crafted by French artisans under Russian influence, now adorned the head of a woman in whose veins flowed Russian blood. It was a truly poetic turn of fate. Natalia Grosvenor, known for her elegant style and discretion, appeared in the Blue Kokoshnik at several exceptionally formal events, although photographs of these occasions are exceedingly rare, consistent with the family's general privacy regarding personal jewels. Each such appearance undoubtedly elicited admiration and served as a reminder of the rich history of both the tiara itself and the House of Westminster. It seemed that the azure marvel had finally found tranquility and would take its honoured place among the family heirlooms to be passed down to future duchesses. However, to the universal surprise and bewilderment of jewellery connoisseurs, this idyll proved short-lived. In 2015, a relatively short time after its triumphant return, the Westminster Blue Kokoshnik once again appeared at auction. This time, it was offered for sale by the prestigious auction house Christie's in London. The reasons for this decision remain shrouded in mystery. Why did the family, having expended such effort to reclaim the relic, decide to part with it so soon? Were there financial considerations, a need for asset restructuring, or was it a personal decision by the Duke and Duchess, the motives for which they chose not to disclose? Perhaps the upkeep and insurance of such a valuable item demanded significant expenditure, or perhaps the Duke considered his mission of recovery complete, and that the adornment's future path might lie elsewhere. Gerald Grosvenor passed away in 2016, and it is possible this decision was part of his estate planning, although the sale occurred during his lifetime. Be that as it may, on June 15, 2015, at Christie's important jewels auction in London, the Chaumet Kokoshnik tiara was presented as lot 174. The estimate, pre-sale valuation, ranged from £250,000 to £350,000 sterling. Interest in the lot was immense. After all, this was not merely a beautiful tiara, but an adornment with a rich history, belonging to one of Great Britain's most influential aristocratic families, created by a legendary jewellery house. The bidding was intense. Ultimately, the Blue Kokoshnik sold for an impressive sum, £464,500 sterling, which at the time equated to approximately 700,000 United States dollars. This price significantly surpassed the most optimistic expectations and confirmed the high collectible and historical value of the adornment. The name of the new buyer, as is customary at major auctions, remained undisclosed. The tiara once again vanished into a private collection, leaving behind a trail of questions and a touch of melancholy for those who had hoped it would remain in Britain forever, perhaps even in a public exhibition. Thus concluded, or perhaps merely paused, the story of the Blue Kokoshnik's time with the Westminster family. Twice it belonged to this noble lineage, twice it departed, following the will of its capricious, yet undoubtedly appreciative, owners. What, then, is the future destiny of this azure masterpiece? Will we ever see it again? And what other secrets does it hold within its shimmering brilliance? The story of the Westminster Blue Kokoshnik is more than just a tale of a precious adornment. It is a mirror reflecting the splendor and tragedies of aristocratic families, the vicissitudes of fate, the economic upheavals of the 20th century, and humanity's eternal yearning for beauty. From the Parisian workshops of Chaumet to the coronation halls of Westminster Abbey, from auction rostrums to the quietude of private collections, this tiara has traversed an astonishing path, witnessing the passage of eras and generations. It symbolizes not only Russian inspiration and French craftsmanship, but also the whims of fortune, the burden of heritage, and the difficult decisions that even the most powerful families must sometimes make. Gerald Grosvenor's reacquisition of the tiara was an act of homage to history, and its subsequent sale serves as a reminder that even the most iconic relics can continue their journey, finding new custodians. Today, the Westminster Blue Kokoshnik is once again hidden from public view, but its legend endures. Perhaps one day it will re-emerge to tell us a new chapter of its captivating story. Who knows what further twists fate has in store for it? And does not the special magic of such objects lie precisely in this, their ability to outlive their owners, carrying within them the imprint of their lives and emotions, becoming silent chroniclers of bygone eras? And what do you believe is the primary value of such historical adornments, their material worth, their artistic execution, or the stories they hold? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed our narrative, please remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss new, enthralling stories from the world of jewelry artistry. Until next time.